Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Sin Permiso, a Latina lifestyle podcast. Welcome to another episode of Sin Permiso, a Latina lifestyle podcast. Today I have the pleasure of having a powerhouse, a rock star, a superstar, a woman that I really admire. And her story, you guys are going to love it. Merizo, I get goosebumps. Today I have Oralia Herrera, the broker owner of Century 21 TK in Chicago.
Thank you, Peggy. Thank you for having me here today. It is my pleasure.
I am so excited to have you here. And not just here, but here today. In less than 48 hours, you are going to be installed as the next Presidenta of the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals, Nahrep, which is an organization that, we all love and is dear to our hearts, and also creates leaders, creates powerhouses, and, brings people like yourself to the forefront. But I love your story, Oralia. One of the reasons why I have this podcast, because I love highlighting these stories, right? They're the immigrant stories. They're the started from the bottom, now we're here stories. They're people that are genuine, that are kind-hearted, that work hard, that motivate others, and that shine their light. And your light shines brighter than many. I want us, cuéntenos esa historia, cómo fue cuando llegaste, where you grew up, how the real estate life happened for you.
Absolutely. First of all, I like to tell you that you're looking at yourself in the mirror when you say of that light that I shine.
Thank you.
Yours is very bright, my friend.
Thank you.
Getting back to my story. My story began in a journey that we came to the United States with my parents and 6 of us, me and 5 siblings. We settled in a suburb outside of Chicago. And as you can imagine, it wasn't easy finding a place for 8 of us. So after a lot of search, we've met a gentleman by the name of Tom Costopoulos. Him and his partner, Louis Luiso, had a 3-bedroom apartment, very, very nice unit, and we were able to become their tenants. Mm-hmm. Little did I know that Tom Costopoulos and Louis Luiso, which were big real estate investors and partners, one Italian, one Greek, were going to be key in my life, especially Tom Costopoulos. He became, at the age of 18, him and his wife, Stella Costopoulos, sold me my first home. I was the first in my family to become homeowner. Of course que no tenía dinero para comprarla.
Pero 18 años, ¿cómo fue eso? Like, how did that happen? How did that occur?
So that occurs because I was also the interpreter for the family, right?
Como siempre.
Como siempre. Uh-huh. So the conversation went like, Tom comes in one day into the apartment.
Knocks on the door. He
says, Maria, to my mom. And the conversation happens where he offers the 4-unit apartment building to my mom for sale.
How much?
$105,000, Peggy. The price for that 4-unit was $105,000. It had 2 2-bedrooms, 1 3-bedrooms, and then a studio. Mm-hmm. The conversation goes something like, are you interested in purchasing the property? My mom says, ¿Cuánto cuesta? How much is it? $105,000. Dile que no, gracias. Say no, thank you. I think that somehow gave me an understanding of what I wanted to do. Because from that moment on, we didn't know, Peggy. We didn't know that there was financing. My mother, back in Mexico, back in my hometown, if you wanted a property, you had to have it.
You had to have the
entire cash. There was no financing. So we didn't investigate. We didn't ask any further until the property sold, right? And later on, we decide, we could do this.
We could have done it. Hubiéramos comprado.
Mi mamá tenía $25,000 en el banco.
25%.
My mom had $25,000 in the bank. And we would have been owner occupants. We could have bought it FHA 3.5% down, 5% down. She had the ability. And of course, I was 13 years of age, or maybe even 12. But my siblings were working. We had people to buy it. Then, after that, I saw the way TK came, the way he had properties. And at the very young, right out of high school, I was going to college, and I called TK and I said, how can I get my real estate license? How can I buy a house?
The initiative.
So on my 18th, right after my 18th birthday, I became a homeowner and brought my mother and my sister, that was the youngest, with me to live in this house.
Incredible.
Like I said, I had a mother with $25,000 and the will to become a homeowner.
And the will to become a homeowner and, the will to learn, to educate yourself.
Sí.
Porque falta mucha información a un día. We still are behind. We still need information. That's why we love this organization. But, 18 years old, I think you're the youngest homeowner I have in the book so far that I know. 18. Wow, incredible. And then you get your real estate license, you start working. Tell us how it was, very young, 18 years old, Mexicana in Chicago. This was a while back. Things were different.
So the first thing I did after I purchased that property, I'm like, I want to do this, right? Like, you guys, it was a journey for us to get that, for us to get that pre-approval. That Betty Stevens, that loan officer, had a lot of patience. One more document, one more this, one more that, the gift letter. But ultimately, we got it done, and I wanted to know how could I be a part of this. So I didn't ask much. I asked TK if I could take the classes. I registered myself, and on the first day of real estate classes, I find out that back then, the instructor said you have to be 21 years of age. So I waited. I went back to college. I went about my life working. And on my 21st birthday, I got my real estate license. I was working came in TK, Tom Kostopoulos, who was our landlord. Then became my real estate agent with his wife, Stella Kostopoulos.
Your broker, your mentor.
And then he became my managing broker, my mentor, my life coach, my familia, and even a father figure for me.
That's excellent. We talk about this a lot in the podcast, how hay un dicho en español que un metido a tiempo, which is not the same thing as a mentor, but meeting that person at the right time in your life, when you're young, when you're like a sponge, when you need that person to hold on to, especially in otro país, in a country, and you see that man and you see his intelligence, you listen, you learn, and you want to grow and be like that. And for him to also bring you in and be your mentor. And, you said his name is TK, and your Century 21 office is TK. So what's the deal?
The deal is that TK owned, Century 21 TK was owned by Stella and Tom Kostopoulos. And I came there with I'm going to learn everything from them, right? I'm going to see what they're doing. They were already very, very successful individuals. They had a portfolio of real estate. They were very well respected in their community. They traveled. And I remember that when some of the sacrifices that they had to make, owning a big office, they had 55 agents. And when they left to Greece, one of them would leave for a week or so, and then the other one would follow, and they would only stay together 1 week because the office could not be unattended, right? I remember getting the keys and the checkbook once when they were leaving because I pretended I was there to learn, right? Like I got my nose into everything they did. Commercial, I wanted to see what they did. And he handed me a checkbook and he says, "Kid, Stella and I are going to be gone. I'm going to give you a whole bunch of signed checks. You're going to pay the agents. You're going to manage the office. I have a managing broker coming in. Mickey O'Malley is going to cover, but you're in charge."
Wow.
Okay. I did that for a couple of years. And on my 24th birthday, I remember walking into TK one day. I sat down in his office. He was doing some numbers, as he usually did. He was crunching numbers. And I said, "TK, I want to follow your footsteps. I'm going to go and open my own real estate office." I had looked at a place, and he said, "Kid, you leave with open doors. Don't burn out. If something doesn't go your way, you come right back.
Come back.
You know that we have a policy at TK that whoever leaves does not come back. That doesn't hold true for you.
Wow.
If you get burned out, if something doesn't happen, come back. We went around and started sending my announcements, and my husband had gone to start decorating. We had it painted. We were all excited about opening our firm. Right before I left, I come in again to TK, and this time with Stella and Tom, sitting just the way you and I are. And they said, we're going to miss you. And Stella says, why are you leaving? I said, I want to follow your footsteps. I want to own my own. I want to see what it is. I'm so inspired by you that I want to do the same. And Stella said, what if we made you a partner? Would you leave? I'm like, oh my gosh. Well, first of all, I can't afford it, right?
Amazing.
I can't afford it. And second of all, I already signed the lease. I'm already... And I remember her words, aren't you a real estate broker? So what? You can sublease what you have. And we didn't ask you how much money, and we didn't ask you how you were going to pay. We asked you, if we sold you, would you leave? I said, let me sleep on it. I came home, and it was the opportunity of a lifetime.
Of course.
You know, I came back the next morning, and they said, pay us with no interest as you go, and if you can, $2,000 a month.
Wow.
And the rest is history.
The rest is history now, your partner.
And the rest is history. I became their partner. I grew the firm with them. When they retired, they sold us, my husband and I, the rest of the franchise. Mm-hmm. And today, we still have a great relationship.
That's amazing. You know, we were talking about this earlier. You know, when you're a genuine person, when you're a heartfelt person, when you want to help others, eso se ve, se nota, se siente, se vibra, it just comes. And you're a person that has given your heart and soul so much to the industry, but so much more to your clients, to your customers. You are a family member to them. You're invited to their weddings. You're invited to everything. Matter of fact, you were just telling me that a few of them are coming to your installation. Todo lo haces con tanto amor, Oralia. So you've helped so many people along the journey build, right? Build their future wealth, their familiar wealth, their generational wealth. I mean, I know that this is a career that is so inspiring and it just fills you. What do you think that has been like the key to that? What has given you that opportunity to be familiar with your clients? I mean, it seems like you love it.
I do. My clients become familia. You know, they start as clients, become friends, and we end up like family. I'm aging myself. Ya me estoy poniendo. In our family, we're starting the third generation. Like, right when...
Pero es que comenzaste súper joven.
Sí, súper joven, sí. No es nada que ver con la edad. Además, estos clientes eran ya grandecitos, right? Ya tenían hijos grandes, sí. But I want to give back what TK gave me, right? Mm-hmm. I think it's paying it forward. So TK gave me financial literacy, and he taught me by example how to build. Right? How to become financially independent, how to live below my means. And I would check with him for every investment. I was ready to build the house. I remember my first house I was going to build. And I said one day, and I said, TK, I subdivided the lots. Now I have one free and clear. I'm going to build the house. And he said, siéntate. I remember, sit down. And we sat down and we looked at numbers, and he said, I don't want you to slave yourself for a mortgage payment. Build something that it's comfortable. And furthermore, I said, TK, what I'm building, I'm going to be mortgage free. Because the investments that we have made have such a residual income that they are going to pay for my new construction. So no voy a trabajar para pagar mi casa. Ya construimos. We have residual income coming in where that's going to pay my property.
Living below your means, being very careful, being very strategic. And you've done this as well. You've brought your sister into the business, your family, your children. It's inspiring to see, you know, how you've been able to balance all of this and not just educate your customers, but your family as well.
Absolutely. And it's been very rewarding to see some of my clients even excel what I have, to see them build and grow even further than what I've been able to build. I look at them and they still call me. They're still my friends and they're saying, okay, we're going to move X amount of millions into this. How do you feel about it? Oralia, ¿qué hago? Okay, I'm not a financial planner by no means, but the fact that they consider me somebody that they can lean on or ask a question about where they're going with their wealth creation just inspires me every day. And I think the most important thing is to stay humble and be, never lose the ground of where you come from. I always tell my clients that when they're buying a little condo at a very reasonable price, that they are just as important as that client buying that commercial property for millions.
An inspired leader inspires others, but definitely the humility to stay humble, that's a gift, right? Not everybody can do that. It's definitely a skill to inspire, to stay motivated, consistent, but to be able to stay humble, that's a gift. It's really important. We talk to a lot of people that are successful, but the humility is, I want to say, one of the largest attributes that are most important. And in your case, that's part of your light, and that's what shines. We are very, very excited to see what you're going to bring to Nahrep in this coming year. Your humility, your expertise, your love, and your caring for the consumer, the client, and colleagues, right? It shows. It shows that you share a lot of love for the colleagues. But lastly, I wanted to ask you, what piece of advice would you give to another young girl that just came from Colombia, Mexico, Venezuela, República, that has that fire inside for familia and is motivated to get ahead? What piece of advice would you give her?
Tú serás del tamaño de tus sueños. You will be the size of your dreams. Don't let anything or anyone tell you different. A este país llegamos a triunfar. Esta es la tierra de la oportunidad. Todos la merecemos. Work hard towards that direction, and you will get there.
Thank you, Oralia. Thank you for coming on the podcast.
Mucho.
Qué linda. Gracias por inspirar a todos. And thanks for checking out another of our episodes of Sin Permiso, a Latina Lifestyle Podcast.